But, as the voice of God did say, my name is Derek Hickey. Hickey's my God-given name. You all know where God gave me that name? Right here. Now, judging by the laughs in the room, I can tell some of you have been to high school. And the rest of you are from Philadelphia. So you'll understand how tough it was for me to go through school with the last name Hickey. And in those very dark moments, I decided to research my family name. What I found out is Hickey's actually an Irish last name, and it translates in Gaelic to he who'll be bullied in high school. I thought you came to church for support. Why are you fucking laughing at me right now? But I'm 34 years old, and I realized I should never, ever, ever travel outside the country. When I went to Mexico, I nearly drowned. Thank you for not laughing. When I went to Ireland, I got drunk and I yelled at sheep. If I ever go to Peru, I will get molested by an alpaca. Rewatch The Emperor's New Groove after tonight, it'll hit differently. But that trip to Ireland was the last trip I took before COVID. And the thing that I appreciated most when I was over there was the little differences. Over there, you pick up a newspaper, they got things like sports, current events, politics. But do you guys know what they call obituaries in Ireland? No? Oh, why did he die? 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 I'm contractually obligated to let you guys know that bit is sponsored by Garnier Fruities. It's 2025, everything is an ad. But I was born and raised in the 90s, and being a kid in the 90s was a really weird experience. A dog in a trench coat told us not to talk to strangers. A bear in a hat told us not to start forest fires. And Bill Cosby told us not to do drugs. And this must explain why I'm doing comedy in a church right now. Y'all know how most people say the middle child's a forgotten child? My family proved that that's not true. Because they forgot my oldest brother at the ice rink like 6 times. He might still be there. But whenever people hear me talk, they always ask me the same thing. They're always like, where are you from? I say, do you have 2 minutes? And I tell them, born in Denver, Texas, Illinois, Brussels, Missouri, New Jersey, New York. And at the end of all that, they always ask me the same thing. They're always like, oh, was your father in the military? And I say, close. He worked for Pepsi. He lost a lot of good men to that Crystal Pepsi, I'll tell you what. But I was raised in the Midwest, and I was raised Irish Catholic. Thanks for not applauding. But I don't know if you guys know, but there's a very important religious holiday for Catholics in the Midwest. It's called Donut Sundays. And if you're not familiar, it's basically you get free donuts for going to church. But just like the good Lord, Duncan works in mysterious ways. Because it wasn't every Sunday that you would get those donuts. But luckily, they did keep the munchkins away from the priest. I'm talking about donuts. What are you guys talking about? I'll wait. But when I was living in Missouri, I got the opportunity to work on a farm. Going into that job, I had the worst thinking of what was going to happen. I thought I was going to be in a Hallmark movie. I thought I'd be working out in the fields. I'd somehow get tan. I'd be wearing flannel head to toe. And then one day, I would meet this beautiful young woman. We would fall in love, She would also be dressed in all flannel. She would live in a giant house that she somehow afforded just by volunteering in a hospital that just catered to squirrels. And the rest would be, the rest would be. But in reality, the only dates I got were either with my grandmother's friends or women that had 7 kids and 2 teeth. Luckily, I did not marry one of those women. I'm obligated to say that because my wife's in the back. You know who you are. All right. So, but my dad actually figured out I was drinking underage at the dinner table. See, I was executing a perfect pour with my glass of milk. And midway through, he just looks over at me and he gives me the weirdest look. And then he says, "You know, son, I don't think you're going to get any head." And at the time, I just thought he was calling me a virgin. You'll get it. But my dad was a fun character. He lives in Florida. He's not dead. But he was a fun character. Because he had a very specific form of obsessive-compulsive disorder. You see, if you were to leave one cabinet open in our house, he would know. And he would lose it, really. And, he wouldn't even have to be home. Like, all of a sudden, he would just pop a blood vessel and he'd know that his kids were fucking up. So one day I decided to get my revenge. So right before he was getting home from work, I opened up every single cabinet in that goddamn house. He was so pissed. You guys know how he punished me? He told me he killed the Easter Bunny. And I believed him. And I was 20. All right. But let's see. So I went to college in Missouri. And you guys know the bravest kids on my campus? The ones who played Quidditch without any magic. And their version of the game, they did have a snitch, but instead of a little golden ball that they'd have to chase around, there was a guy named Jeff, dressed in gold, covered in glitter, and on ecstasy. They did keep true to the books in some ways because the only way their games would get broken up is if there was a Death Eater, which is what they called meth heads. If you move to Missouri, you'll get that. All right. But let's see. So another thing, though, about me as a kid is, as you can tell, I had a very traumatic and frankly upsetting childhood. I had to declare bankruptcy at the age of 5. You see, my parents started acting like dictators and they instituted this thing called a swear jar. And some of your parents use it. Get out. For the first few months it was okay because, because it was an allowance every now and again. But we were visiting my grandmother and pretty much I was a growing Midwestern boy, so I said, "Could someone please pass the fucking potatoes?" I'm still paying out that debt to this day. And before I bring up the first comedian, the last thing I'll say is, recently I got the opportunity to do comedy down in the South, down in Georgia. Great crowd, great audience like we have here today. I could tell that they were looking at me just a little bit differently. Apparently they've never seen Jesus in skinny jeans before.